Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, it's David here and welcome back to another video. I know you guys liked the last video that I made about Switch RPGs that were underrated, the link in the description if you want to check it out. And because of that, I'm here. And I'm here again with another list, but this time we're going to focus on Switch turn-based RPGs, the best Switch turn-based RPGs in my opinion. So we're looking at the cream of the cream here in this video. Obviously, when we say turn-based, there's a lot of genres that kind of fit in turn-based. I'm going to talk today about classic turn-based games. So basically, no strategy RPG, no tactical RPG, regardless of them being turn-based. Maybe another video though. If you guys are interested for those genres, make sure you let me know in the comments down below. A quick thumbs up if you like the video would be a big help, and make sure you subscribe if you want to stay up to date on anything in terms of role-playing games. Now let's get right into it. The first game that I want to talk about is a game that came out early in the Nintendo Switch's life and I loved every second of it. It is the first game in the HD 2D style from Square Enix, and of course I'm talking here about Octopath Traveler. What to say about that game? That game is absolutely fantastic, has a great turn-based combat system, kind of similar to the Bravely Default combat system that we saw on the 3DS and also now with Bravely Default 2 on Switch, but with a twist. Very fun, 8 different characters to control, all very different with different skills and moves, which makes for some very interesting moment with strategy and everything. The super bosses in that game can be very rough, so you will have to grind your way to the top, at least for the post-game content, but it's a long game, it's a good game with great characters. The standalone stories for each of the characters are great. The one complaint that I had is there is not enough interactions between the party members, and I think that was fixed in Octopath Traveler 2. I say I think because I've yet to beat it, so I can also recommend Octopath Traveler 2. From what I've heard, it is Octopath 1, but they fixed some of the issues of the first game. But I did love the first game, so that is my first pick from Team Asano and Square Enix, Octopath Traveler. Now another game that I absolutely need to mention is a game that I loved so much. It's called Shin Megami Tensei 5. Now SMT5 is an exclusive for the Nintendo Switch as of the time of recording this video. It's made in Unreal Engine 4, Shin Megami Tensei being an Atlas property, of course. Developers of Persona, Etrian Odyssey, great team there at Atlas. So SMT5, great game, potentially the best combat system of all time with the press turn combat system. So when you exploit the enemy weaknesses, you gain additional turns, which makes for some very interesting strategy. It's SMT, it is a rough game. I reviewed the game on the channel, so as always with these videos, the games that I'm talking about that I reviewed are going to be in the description, so make sure you check that out. You get to recruit demons, you get to fuse demons together to create stronger demons. Absolutely amazing game. Simple story. A lot of hardcore SMT fans complained about the lack of story content in SMT5. Regardless, if you just make your way through the main game, you're going to spend around 60 to 70 hours playing that game, but the combat is amazing and the music, just listen to it. Now let's move on from modern games for a little bit and let's move on to a classic that is playable in a new form on Nintendo Switch. You absolutely need to play that classic if you have yet to play it. It's an old game from the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom era, but it is a game that aged like fine wine. I'm of course talking here about Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. Absolutely amazing game, legendary status in the SNES era. Very solid game. Any FF fan will praise that game even if it's not their favorite. It is for me specifically. Some people will say 7, others will say 4, or even more modern entries like 16, but for me it's all about FF6, and the Pixel Remaster added some HD 2D scenes, better visuals. On Switch we have the greater font as well, which was fixed from the PC version. Very solid version of that game. Highly recommend checking it out if you have not already. And again, it is an old game, but it's not crusty at all. It is very solid. Great turn-based combat system here as well for FF6 Pixel Remastered. Now another game that I want to talk about is of course a game that I'm sure a lot of people will recommend, but it's for a reason, because it is peak JRPG at this point, and it's of course Persona 5 Royal. So Persona 5 is probably the most popular Atlas game. of all time. Very solid entry in the Persona series, and both for SMT5 and Persona 5, you don't have to play previous entries in the series. Persona 5 is a 100-hour plus game, and I'm being conservative here, so basically if you want to have a lot of time to put into a game for your money, Persona 5 Royal is going to give you that absolutely amazing story. It is Royal, so it's the complete version of Persona 5, the version with the most content. All the DLC is included, and you can get that version of the game on Nintendo Switch for fairly cheap. It's always on sale. Great running version too. Plus you get to play it portably, and believe me, it's a game with social links, a calendar system. You want to take your time with it, and you want to play it laying down in bed. Persona 5 Royal, fantastic version of that game on Nintendo Switch. Highly recommended. Let me give another classic pick that is playable on Nintendo Switch and without spending a dime. I'm sure you guys can play it at the moment because you're probably subscribed to the Nintendo Switch online system. And if you are, well, you have access to Mother 2 Earthbound on the Super Nintendo SNES Online. I am a big RPG fan, of course, but I'm a young person, or at least I think I am. So with that in mind, I did not grow up with the Super Nintendo, so I have not played Earthbound before, and I played it for the first time in 2023, and it's a game that still feels modern. It tackles concepts that you're not going to find in any other RPGs. Great turn-based combat system, very simplistic though, so if you like to have complexity in your combat systems, that's probably not the game for you. It's really simple, but it's surrounded by a lot of other elements in the game that is great. The visuals, the music, the character, the story is so unique and interesting that I still highly recommend it. And again, just like FF6, it's an old ass game, but it aged extremely well. It aged extremely well, and for that reason, it deserves a spot on that list. Once again, just like Persona 5, SMT5, I also reviewed Earthbound on the channel, so you make sure you check that out. Link is in the description down below. A final Square Enix game needs to be on that list. It's a game that first released on the PlayStation 4, but later was ported to the Nintendo Switch with the S version of the game, and that is Dragon Quest XI S, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Absolutely amazing game, a very solid entry point for the Dragon Quest series. It is the 11th mainline entry in the series, but you can jump in without any knowledge, any prior knowledge of Dragon Quest, and you're gonna love it. Art style by Akira Toriyama, of course the artist behind Dragon Ball. Very beautiful game, very good running game on Nintendo Switch as well. It's a game that was, when it was first revealed, was revealed for the Nintendo NX, one of the first games that was revealed for Switch, and it's a great version of that game in Unreal Engine 4. Runs great, looks great, and just like P5, it's a 100-hour plus RPG, so it's a game that, believe me, you want to play on a portable device to have the best time as possible. So Dragon Quest XI S, great content, great story, fun characters, all very attractive and very fun to like see progress themselves as an individual, and the whole team growing together. It's really awesome. Very solid game. The post-game content is also very rough and very fun, so if you guys want to spend even more time in that game because you loved it, both the side content and the post-game content is really fun in that game. Now, I do want to recommend 3 games that are made by smaller studios, but I'm always going to push smaller studios when they make quality titles, and those titles are Bug Fables, which is a turn-based RPG that is very much inspired by Paper Mario. So I know that 1,000 Year Door is about to come back next year. I'm very excited for that one. But in the meanwhile, if you want your fair share of Paper Mario turn-based combat, you can play Bug Fables. Very solid little game here, cheap on the eShop as well. Speaking of being cheap on the eShop as well, you have Chry Tails. Chry Tails is a very solid indie RPG, turn-based RPG as well. Great combat with various moves to do. The visuals are extremely unique in that game. You have different dimensions in certain sections, so it's very fun, very fast-paced, and really interactive as well. The combat kind of reminds me of Chrono Trigger a little bit, but with a twist. It's a really solid game with Chry Tails here. Highly recommend that one. I'm playing it on my Nintendo Switch right now, almost done with it. It is a very solid game. Speaking of solid game, the last game that I want to talk about, I'll be honest, is a game that I have not played yet. It's called Chained Echoes, but it's a game that came out last year and everyone praised it. It's a really solid experience apparently. The game looks so good, it sounds so good. I've listened to a bunch of the tracks, I've listened to a few reviews as well, and I definitely want to play it at this point. I just reached out while recording this video to get a copy from the company to try it out myself, but I'm definitely going to pick it up if they don't get back to me. Very excited to try out Chained Echoes. So that's the final pick that I wanted to recommend, but just note that I have not played that one. And I played the other games on that list, but I still wanted to mention it because I feel, regardless of me playing it or not, I feel it deserves a recommendation. That is going to be it for my recommendations today. Don't forget to check out my reviews, links in the description if you are interested. A quick thumbs up if you like the list, and please give us your recommendations for the best Nintendo Switch turn-based RPGs down in the comments sections below. I would really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.